Good morning, dear students.
Good morning, sir.
Very good morning.
Good
Good
morning,
morning,
sir.
sir.
Yes,
Morning, sir.
thank you. Good morning. Ah, so, if you look at what we have done in previous class in atomic structure chapter, we have taken Bohr's theory. Okay, the postulates of Bohr's theory, 4 postulates. Okay, I'll just go through in brief. Atom consists of stationary states associated with some energy around the nucleus. They are called energy levels. Before they were called shells and orbits. By Bohr's theory, they were also called energy levels. N is the symbol for that. And N starts with 1, ends with infinity. And N is not equal to 0. As long as electron revolves in a particular energy level, it neither emits energy nor absorbs energy. So it simply revolves, doesn't fall into nucleus. So atom is stable. Third, for an electron to be present in a particular energy level, it has to satisfy a condition. What is that? Its angular momentum, MVR, must be equal to N into H by 2 pi. N is the integer which indicates 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers. So if angular momentum is equal to, for example, 1 into H by 2 pi, the electron is in first energy level. If MVR is equal to 2 into H by 2 pi, that is nothing but 2 cancels, H by pi, it will be there in second energy level, and so on. As long as electron revolves around around the nucleus in a particular energy level, it doesn't emit or absorb. But when you supply energy in the form of heat or electrical energy, something like that, then electron absorbs and then gets promoted to higher energy level. Whereas when electron comes from higher energy level to lower energy level, energy is emitted. Absorption of energy results in promotion of electron. De-excitation, de-promotion of electron results in emission of energy. Similarly, if electron jumps from second energy level to first energy level, the difference in energy, delta E, is calculated as E2 minus E1, is emitted as H nu. That means it will be emitted as a light photon of energy H nu. These are the postulates. Then we have taken hydrogen spectrum. How to get hydrogen spectrum? You need to excite hydrogen and then get the light out of it and pass it through prism. For that, we are going to take hydrogen in a discharge tube, a glass tube fitted with anode and cathode. That's all. Hydrogen gas is filled into it and pressure is maintained low. High potential is applied. A narrow beam of light is passed through prism. Then dispersion happens. The component radiations of the light coming out of hydrogen will be get separated. Okay, so that is made to fall onto a photographic plate. Upon analysis, it's been found that hydrogen spectrum contains 5 groups of lines, spectral lines. Each group is containing spectral lines, sharp spectral lines in it. That's why it is called series of lines, 5 series of lines named after the discoverer. So Lyman series, Balmer series, Pascal bracket Fund. So Lyman contains UV radiation and Balmer contains visible. Remaining 3 contains infrared radiations. So these are electromagnetic spectral line in respective series, hydrogen spectral series. Now, how come hydrogen having only one electron in it can give such a complex spectrum? So for that, Bohr has to explain the hydrogen spectrum. He says in hydrogen atom, electron is there in the ground state. Ground state of any atom means when electrons are arranged in energy levels to attain minimum energy possible, then that arrangement is called ground state in any atom. In hydrogen atom, minimum energy would be possible when electron is there in the first energy level. We know it is 1s orbital, right? Okay. So this is ground state. When hydrogen was taken into discharge tube and high potential was applied, electron in first energy level gets promoted to different higher energy level, where energy increases, stability decreases. So electron in higher energy level has to return back to attain stability. That is, it has to get de-excited. When it has to de-excite, the de-excitation can happen all at a stretch to first energy level, or it may take place in steps. So electron from 10th energy level may come to 5th, then to 3rd, then to 1, or directly to 1. So he says any transition of electron from higher energy level to first energy level, from any, you can go with 10th energy level to first, or second energy level to first, or 6th energy level to first. So any transition of electron from higher energy level to first energy level would emit a ಪ್ರಜ್ವಲ್, you host transfer ಮಾಡಿ. ಪ್ರಜ್ವಲ್, ಓಕೆ
ಸರ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಸರ್. ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸರ್.
ಅದೇ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ okay, done. Yeah, any transition of electron from higher energy level to first energy level results in a ultraviolet radiation and constitute Lyman series. Like that, any transition of electron from higher energy level which ends up with second energy level will give out a visible radiation and constitute Balmer series. If electron transition ends at third energy level, it gives out IR radiation, that is near beginning part of IR spectrum of electromagnetic region. Okay, IR radiation, and that is constituting Pascal. If electron transition ends at fourth energy level of hydrogen atom, then spectral line of IR will be obtained, but they will be from middle part of the electromagnetic region of hydrogen's IR spectrum. Similarly, Fund series will be obtained when electron transition ends at fifth energy level, and this also contains IR radiation, infrared radiation from the last part of IR region of electromagnetic spectrum. Okay, so this is what the thing. It's been also told that if electron transition ends at sixth energy level, it gives again IR radiation, which is constituting a series called Humphrey series, but it is not there in the syllabus, not to worry much. Okay. So this is about explanation of Bohr for hydrogen spectrum, how different spectral lines are possible like that. Okay, so we'll proceed now.
Excuse me, sir.
Hmm.
There is last column higher energy level N2. Yeah, what is that exactly?
Higher energy level is excited state. Electron in ground state is the first energy level. When it absorbs energy, it goes to different higher energy levels. From any higher energy level, it will come to lower energy levels. From where it starts is higher energy level N2. From where it comes and ends its transition is lower energy level N1. Okay, let's say electron transition starts from sixth energy level to second energy level. From where? Sixth energy level to second energy level. So what is 6? Higher energy level, that is N2. It ends at which energy level? Second energy level, that is N1. So which radiation is given? You only have to tell me now.
Balmer series.
Balmer, like that. Okay. So for N1, lower energy level, for different spectral lines, N1 is fixed. If you want to get a Lyman series, electron transition has to end at first energy level only. Correct? For Balmer, second energy level. For Pascal, third, fourth, fifth, like that. It goes. Whereas N2 can be higher than that. Any transition of electron from higher energy level to first energy level, when I say, so N1 is 1, N2 can be more than 1, 2, 3, 4. And Balmer, N2 is 2, N1 is 2, N2 is more than that. That is 3, 4, 5. I think you have understood now.
It's like de-excitation.
It's like
De-excitation.
correct. De-excitation is nothing but depromotion or transfer of electron from higher energy level to lower energy.
Okay, sir.
Oh, right. Now, the question that arises is when electron jumps from higher energy level to lower energy level, it gives out spectral line. That spectral line liberated out will have a wavelength. Correct? No, any radiation will have its own wavelength. So how do you calculate wavelength of the spectral line emitted in hydrogen spectrum in various transitions of electron? So by an equation called Rydberg equation. Okay, there is an equation called Rydberg equation. We'll go for that. Rydberg equation. So Rydberg equation, using this, you can calculate actually wave number. Nu bar means wave number. And by calculating wave number, you can also calculate wavelength or even frequency, just nu. Nu bar is 1 by lambda. You can take lambda, you can calculate frequency, anything can be calculated, right? So it directly gives wave number actually. Okay. So as per Rydberg equation, nu bar is equal to RH, a constant called Rydberg equation, into Rydberg constant into Z square, that is atomic number, into 1 by N1 square minus 1 by N2 square. This is the equation. Okay. So where you know already the terminology. Z, what is that? Atomic number. Okay. N1, the same notation I have given you in the table. Lower energy level. Lower energy level where electron transition ends into higher energy level where electron transition begins. If you want, I can write that also. Lower energy level, electron transition ending, at which, okay, higher energy level at which electron transition begins. Okay. Then what is RH is the thing. Or simply sometimes you would write R also in books, RH or R simply. That is called Rydberg constant. Rydberg constant, and its value 1.09678 into 10 raised to 7 per meter. Okay, you need to remember that. So above equation for hydrogen, Z is equal to 1. So what happens to that equation? The 1 square is 1 only. So equation for hydrogen.
Sir, can you scroll up?
Oh.
Yes, sir.
For hydrogen, Z is equal to 1. So what would happen? Nu bar is equal to RH into Z becomes 1. So it will simplify to the equation N1 square minus 1 by N2 square. So this is the Rydberg equation for hydrogen particularly. Whereas for hydrogen-like species, you can use this equation. What do you mean by hydrogen-like species? Any species can be a charged particle, charged ion, okay, anything. So any species which contains one electron in it can be considered as hydrogen-like species. Can be considered as hydrogen-like species. Now, if you take, for example, okay, I would simply say here, okay, what is hydrogen-like species? Have one electron in them. Okay, so for example, if you take helium, what is the atomic number of helium? 2. How many electrons are there? How many electrons are there in helium? 2. In helium atom, sorry, in helium atom there will be 2 electrons. Remove 1 electron, so He becomes He plus. In He plus ion, 1 electron is remaining. So He plus is hydrogen-like species. Okay. Similarly, Li, atomic number of lithium is 3. Okay. How many electrons are there in lithium?
3.
Remove how many electron to become hydrogen-like species?
2.
2.
It becomes 2 plus. Very good. So beryllium, atomic number 4.
4.
In an atom of beryllium, there will be 4 electrons. Remove how many electrons?
3 electrons.
3 electrons. So beryllium in what charge would appear like hydrogen-like? 3 plus.
3 plus.
So electron. So these are all hydrogen-like species. So this equation, Rydberg equation, can be used to calculate wave number of hydrogen and hydrogen-like species. Hydrogen and hydrogen-like species. Okay, so this is the, is that okay? So we shall proceed. We will revisit this equation when we solve the problems. Okay, just you need to remember. So now what we are going to do, we are going to take merits and demerits of Bohr's theory. Is it okay? Merits and demerits of Bohr's theory. I think you have understood all these points. Before that, I'll just give you one note here about Balmer series. So one note I'll give you. What is that? See, among 5 series of hydrogen spectrum, which one can be seen by naked eye?
Visible rays.
Which is visible? Which series is that?
Balmer.
Balmer. In Balmer series, there are 4 prominent lines. You can call 4 prominent or bright lines. Okay, Balmer series is the visible series. In that Balmer series, 4 spectral lines are very bright. Which are those 4 spectral lines, and how they are obtained by which electron transition we'll see now. Okay, so they are H alpha subscript. You need to write below. So H alpha line, H beta, H gamma, H delta lines. 4 lines are bright lines, they are called like that. And they are obtained by the electron transition. I'll give you this table. You need to just remember. It's not very difficult. So Balmer line, N1, N2. Okay. H alpha, beta, gamma, then H delta. It's called delta. Now, for Balmer line, any line for that matter, not only these four lines, what is N1 value? What is N1 for Balmer?
1.
2.
2 Lyman, right? So this is 2. All are 2 only. Like this. Okay. N2 will be for H alpha line 3. This is 4, 5,
2.
6. Okay. So if electron transition takes place from third energy level to second energy level, a bright line is obtained. Bright visible line, that is H alpha. Similarly, from 4 to 2, another bright line called H beta, 5 to 2 H gamma, 6 to 2 H delta. In problems, they'll ask you calculate wave number of H delta line. Calculate wave number of H delta line means immediately, oh, H delta, N1 is 2, N2 is 6. So that you can substitute here. So 1 square, 1 divided by 2 square, 1 divided by 6 square, then you can simplify. Or calculate wavelength of H beta line. H beta line, N1 is 2, N2 is 4, substitute here, simplify. You need to calculate wavelength, but wave number is given by this equation. So you need to take reciprocal. Wave number is equal to 1 by lambda. So lambda is equal to reciprocal. So like that, we'll solve that problem, not a problem. Okay. So these are the 4 bright lines in Balmer cells. Just know. We'll proceed ahead. So we are going to take now limitations of the Bohr's theory and merits of Bohr's theory. Okay. So first we'll take up merits. Merits of Bohr's theory. What are the merits or advantages of Bohr's theory, significance, or anything like that? Point number 1. It could, explain stability of the atom. First of all, the theory overcomes the limitation of Rutherford model. It could explain for stability or account for. Right. Point number 1. Point number 2. It can explain spectra, plural, spectra of hydrogen and hydrogen-like species. Correct? Hydrogen-like species, single electron systems. Okay, one electron systems can be explained. It also means that if an atom contains more than one electron, the spectrum becomes very complex. It cannot explain. That's the meaning. So spectra of hydrogen and hydrogen-like species can be explained. Based on Bohr's theory, Rydberg constant value has been calculated by Bohr, and that value is in experimental agreement. Experimentally, the RH value has been determined, which was found coinciding with the theoretical calculation based on Bohr's theory. Okay, so Rydberg constant value. Calculated by Bohr's theory is in agreement with the experimental value. With experimental, I'll write abbreviated form, experimental value. Okay, so that is one thing. Another one. Now you know in hydrogen and hydrogen-like species, this is the nucleus when I say. Okay, so these are all the energy levels. First energy level, second energy level, third energy level. It goes on. There can be infinite number of energy levels. So this is n is equal to 1, 2, 3 and 1. Now electrons are all there here. Here electron is there, here electrons can be there, here electrons can be there. Okay, something like that. Now he could, Bohr could calculate energy of electron in various orbits, shells of not only hydrogen but also hydrogen-like species. Okay, so based on Bohr's theory, energy of electron in any orbit, it may be first, second, third, 10th, 20th. So what would be the energy of electron in different orbits of hydrogen atom and hydrogen-like species was calculated. And that energy calculated based on Bohr's theory has been later proved experimentally correct. Okay, so that is one merit of this theory. Okay, the energy of electron as calculated by Bohr's theory. I'll write abbreviated form sometimes. As calculated by Bohr's theory. Okay, has been proved experimentally. Has been proved experimentally. The energy expression is given by, remember this equation, I'll write with a different energy of electron in nth orbit, En is equal to minus 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18 into z square divided by n square is the equation. Okay.
Sir.
Now this is in joules. Okay. In terms of joules, you can. Somebody has any doubt?
Sir, I didn't get the fourth point, sir.
Okay. Energy of electron in any orbit. For example, electron is there. It can be there in an atom in a first energy level, second energy level, or third, or fifth, or 10th, anywhere, right? Electron can be there in any energy level.
Sir.
Electron in any energy level will have its own energy possessed. The electron energy in first energy level is different from second, will be different from fifth, will be different from sixth. So you can calculate energy of electron in different energy levels. Not only for hydrogen-like species also. So the equation to calculate energy of electron in different energy levels is En. En means nth energy level. Nth means any. N is not defined. N can be 1, 2, 3. That's why. En is energy of electron in nth energy level is equal to minus a constant 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18 into z square by n square. Okay. It is in terms of joule. You should know one thing. Okay. One, it can be also expressed in electron volt units in terms of electron volts instead of joules. 1 electron volt is 1.602 into 10 raised to minus 19 joule. So this is in joules, no? So convert 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18 into electron volts. So that it becomes 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18 divided by 1.602 into 10 raised to minus 19. When you do, the equation in terms of electron volts will transform like this. Is equal to minus 13.6 into z square divided by n square. Okay, it is in terms of the units electron volts. You may be asked to calculate either in electron volts or joules. You can use accordingly the equations. Now, what are the terms? Where Z is what? Atomic number. And N is what? Energy level. Energy level is nothing but shell. Okay? N is energy level. Now, N can be 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. Okay? N can be 1, 2, 3. Now, for example, for hydrogen atom, and at first N is equal to 1, first energy level. What is energy? Let us substitute En. N becomes 1 there, first energy level, minus 13.6 into what is Z for?
Sir, can you scroll up, sir?
Pardon me?
Can you scroll up, sir?
No, let me finish up, please. You pay attention, no? We'll finish up this. Once for all, you can go back. So E1 is equal to minus 13.6. What is that? For a hydrogen atom, 1 square. And we have taken first energy level to calculate. So 1 square. So it becomes minus 13.6 electron volt. What do you mean by this? See, in hydrogen atom, okay, there is only 1 electron. That electron is there in the first energy level. Okay, so this is the electron we are speaking about. What is the energy of electron in this first energy level? Energy of first electron in the first energy level is minus 13.6 electron volt. Or you can use this Joule equation, minus 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18 Joule. Okay, like that you can calculate for electron in 10th energy level or 5th energy level. Not only for hydrogen, even for helium, lithium and all, but it has to have only 1 electron. Okay. For example, if you want to calculate for helium, for a helium atomic number is 2. 2 square is 4. Then first energy level means 1 square. So minus 13.6 into 4 will be the energy of electron in first energy level of hydrogen, helium. Okay. Now you can write down. Is this enough or should I scroll down further?
Enough, sir. Sir, for hydrogen it is coming 13.6 electron volt, no, sir?
Correct.
Sir, for the electron volt value, we don't need to write 1.602 into 10 to the power minus 19. No need of writing that, sir.
No, that is only used to convert. If you want to convert this 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18 Joule into electron volt, you have to use this conversion factor. 1 electron volt is how much? 1.602 into 10 raised to minus 19 Joule. So how much we need to convert now? 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18 we need to convert. So it becomes 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18 divided by 1.602 into 10 raised to minus 19. This will become 13.6. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Sir, if they tell you to find in joules, then we can use first equation, no, sir?
Once again, little louder.
Sir, if they tell to find in joules, sir,
you have to use this.
First equation.
Joules. It is in electron volts.
Okay, sir.
Right. Shall I proceed?
Yes, sir.
All of you have written hope. See, there are totally 61 students now. Mohita has entered. Of the 61 students, I can hear only some 4 voices. How about remaining? See, you people, if not in at least through mic, you need to answer through chat. Chat box you have to use. If you hesitate to unmute yourself and speak, no problem. You can at least chat. Say, you have to answer certain things. You have to use chat box. Okay. You have to be interactive. Then only you can understand. Right. We shall proceed now. See, this is energy of electron as calculated by Bohr's theory has been proved experimentally correct. Okay. Now we'll take up next merit. Based on Bohr's theory, not only energy of electron in first orbit, you can also calculate radius of electron. Okay, radius of electron can be calculated. So fifth point. Radius of electron in nth orbit. Nth orbit means any orbit. Nth orbit of hydrogen and hydrogen like species. Hydrogen like species as calculated by Bohr's theory is found experimentally correct. Is found experimentally correct. What is the expression for calculating radius of electron in nth orbit of hydrogen and hydrogen like species? It is like this. Radius of electron in nth orbit is equal to a constant A naught into n square divided by not z square. It is simply z. Previously you may get confused. It was z square by n square. Now it is n square not divided by z square. It is just z. You just need to remember. Okay, this thing. Then what is n a naught here? Okay, where a naught Bohr first orbit of hydrogen atom. I'll tell you what is that. Bohr first orbit of hydrogen. N is energy level, as you know. And Z atomic number. And Z atomic number. Okay. Now this A naught is the Bohr first orbit. Its value is 53 picometer, or in terms of Armstrong, 0.53 Armstrong. Therefore, you can write radius of electron in nth orbit of hydrogen and hydrogen like species 0.53 n square by z in terms of Armstrong, or radius of electron in terms of picometers. Pico means 10 raised to minus 12 meters. It becomes 53 n square by z picometer. See, this 53 is approximated value. Actually, it is somewhere like 52.9 something it comes. So 52.9 picometer is approximately written there as 53 picometer. Why I am telling you this? If you see in any book, they would have given this exact value 52.98 something like that. So which is approximated as 53. Both are same, not to worry. Okay. So this is the equation. Z is their atomic number. For any other hydrogen like species like helium, lithium 2 plus, beryllium 3 plus, you can use atomic numbers to calculate radius. Now, what do you mean by this equation? See, here is nucleus, and these are all energy level. First energy level, second energy level, third energy. Now, electron can be there in any shell. Now, what is the radius of electron? The distance from the center of the nucleus to the electron orbit is what is the radius of that electron, r. Similarly, electron is there in second energy. Let's see. The distance from center of the nucleus to the electron orbit, that is the radius of that electron. Similarly, an electron can be there in third. What is the radius? Distance from center of the nucleus to the electron orbit of that electron. So R3, that is like. So you can calculate a radius of electron in any energy level of hydrogen and hydrogen like species is the meaning of that. Is that okay? So I think you have understood. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Now
Yes,
this
sir.
also
Yes, sir.
Rn. You can remove this constant. 0.53 divided by Z. For a given atom, atomic number becomes constant. So you can remove a constant. When you remove constant, the equation becomes proportional to n square. Correct, no? Like this. Similarly, even in case of energy of electron, if you remove these constants, which are the constants here for a given atom? Minus 2.18 into 10 to minus 18 joule, and Z is constant. If you remove those two, so you can always write, this implies that energy of electron in nth orbit is proportional to minus 1 by n square. Correct, no? So if you remove the constant, it becomes proportional. Okay. Now, we'll come back to this energy equation at the end of all the merits. We'll see now. See, what is the ratio of the radius of first electron in first orbit, second orbit, third orbit, fourth orbit, like that? So radius of first electron in first orbit, second orbit, third orbit, fourth orbit will be equal to what? Proportional to 1 square is to 2 square, 3 square, 4 square. That's equal to what? 1 square 1, 2 square 4, 9, 16. Meaning, if you take the ratio of the radius of first orbit, second orbit, third orbit, and fourth orbit, they are in the ratio 1:4:9:16. So, okay, as we move away from the nucleus, the radius varies in this ratio. That's the meaning of that. Okay. So that's fine. We'll take up fifth merit of this. No, sixth, sorry. Okay. Now, based on Bohr's theory, we can even calculate velocity of electron in a particular energy level. Okay. So velocity of electron in any orbit, means nth orbit of hydrogen and hydrogen-like species. So it's calculated by Bohr's theory is in experimental agreement. Experimental agreement. Okay. What is the equation to calculate velocity of electron? So it is Vn, velocity of electron in nth orbit. Vn is equal to, here a constant, 2.16 into 10 raised to 6 into Z by n. What importantly you need to focus at is this ratio Z by n, n by Z, so something like that. So it is for radius, it is n square by Z. For energy, it is Z square by n square. The same Z square by n square becomes Z by n for velocity of electron in nth orbit. Okay. So again, where you know all these things. So once again, atomic number, n energy level. No problem. Okay. Now this implies that velocity of electron, if you remove this constant, 2.16 into 10 raised to 6 into Z by n, this is in the units of meter per second. Velocity is measured as meter per second, right? So velocity of electron in nth orbit is proportional to 1 by n. What does it mean? As electron energy level increases, velocity of electron in higher energy level decreases. That's the meaning. Okay. So if you go to electron in first energy level and electron in second energy level, third energy level, like that, as n value of electron increases, what happens to velocity? Decreases. That's the meaning. As n increases, velocity of electron decreases. That's the conclusion. So fine, these are all the merits of Bohr's theory. Accounts for stability, explains spectra of hydrogen and hydrogen-like species. I would complete this sentence. Has been explained. Okay. Now Rydberg constant value calculated by Bohr's theory is found experimentally correct, and the energy of electron can be calculated in different energy levels of hydrogen and hydrogen-like species by using this equation. And the value is found experimentally correct. The radius of electron in nth orbit of hydrogen and hydrogen-like species as calculated by Bohr's theory is also found experimentally correct. Similarly, velocity of electron calculated by Bohr's theory is in experimental agreement of the experimental value. Okay, no problem. So this is these are all the merits of Bohr's theory. Okay, we'll take up one thing here. We need to know little more about this energy expression. Okay, so we'll take up this.
Sir, can you just show the sixth merit?
Okay. If you want, you can take the ratio also like this. As n increases, velocity decreases. What does it mean? Velocity of electron in first orbit is to second orbit, is to third orbit, is to fourth orbit, and so on. If you take, it becomes 1 by n, no? So 1 by 1 is 1, 1 by 2, 1 by 3, 1 by 4. Like that, the ratio of velocities of electron varies in different energy level. That's the meaning. Which means electron in first energy level, if it has a velocity of the 2.16 into 10 raised to 6 meter per second, divided by 4 would be the velocity of electron in fourth energy.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, does that mean the maximum velocity of an electron is in the first energy level?
Exactly. Correct.
Yes, sir.
Right. Now we need to know a little bit about this energy expression. What is one thing you all have seen this equation, minus 13.6 into z square divided by n square, okay, in terms of electron volt. Okay, so energy of electron in nth orbit of hydrogen and hydrogen-like species minus 13.6 into z square divided by n square. Now this expression has negative sign. So can negative energy be negative? Can I say I have 1000 kilojoules of energy? If I make 1000, fine. If I say I have minus 1000 kilojoules of energy, minus 1000 kilojoules of energy doesn't make any sense. Then why is this expression having negative sign? Can energy of any substance be negative? No. Energy can be positive. Energy can become zero. What do you mean by energy is negative? So can anybody explain what could be the significance of that negative sign? That's what we are discussing. Significance of negative sign. Anybody?
Sir, I have a doubt, sir. Sir,
Tell me, what is the doubt?
sir, Bohr, he also told that angular momentum is equal to nh by 2 pi.
Correct.
If we take that, sir, then velocity will not be 1 by n, sir, proportional to 1 by n.
If you take that one,
Sir, angular momentum is mass velocity into radius. That is equal to n by nh by 2 pi. So n is in the numerator. But now when we take velocity, sir, it will come to the denominator. So it's changing the equation.
mvr is equal to n into h by 2 pi. This is the condition incorporated by Bohr's theory to accommodate an electron in a particular energy level.
If we remove the constants, V will be directly proportional to n.
No. So that's why velocity expression is different. This has to be taken as a complete value. This has to be taken as a complete value. Angular momentum as a complete value you have to take. And this is not the expression for velocity at all. It is just a condition incorporated to accommodate an electron in a particular energy level. To take this entire value, angular momentum of electron will be some constant value in a particular energy level, right? That only you have to take. This is not to be derived as an expression for velocity of electron. Then it becomes wrong. Okay. So the velocity of electron is what? As per Bohr's theory. Okay. It is inversely proportional to n at a given energy level. For a given energy level, you should not vary. If you compare velocity of electron in first energy level to second to third, like that, it varies like this. This is the equation to compare velocity of electron across the energy levels. Whereas this is the condition to be incorporated to accommodate an electron in an energy level. You cannot use this equation for deriving velocity relation because it is for a particular energy level, not across the energy levels. Is that okay?
Sir, can you repeat, sir? That significance of negative sign.
Okay, that's a good thing, I say. You people are really outspoken. Now, see this a condition MVR is equal to n into h by 2 pi. It is incorporated to accommodate an electron in a particular energy level. What is the condition if electron has to be there in third energy level? Its angular momentum as a whole value should be equal to that energy level n. Let's say a third energy level 3 into h by 2 pi. This equation should not be used to compare a velocity of electron across the energy levels. This is not an equation to calculate velocity at all. It is only condition incorporated to accommodate an electron. If you want to see what is the energy of velocity of electron in first energy level to second to third, then this is how exactly it varies. At a given energy level, this is the condition for electron to be accommodated. You have to take MVR as an angular momentum as a whole value, not as an individual value. Is that okay? So it is only condition, but not the expression for calculating velocity. Okay. So we'll proceed ahead. Significance of negative sign. You people have to tell me now. Why energy expression is given negative? What does it mean? What do you think about it?
Well, energy is lost.
Energy is lost where?
Sir, electron is de-excited, sir.
So from jumping from a high energy to lower energy.
Okay. Any other explanation? Somebody, first person who gave me the answer. Can you elaborate on that?
I just thought that energy may be lost. That's it.
Energy may be lost of an electron being present in a particular energy level.
Yes, sir.
Why do you think so? Why energy is lost?
To attain stability.
How come? What makes electron to lose energy? It attains stability. That's fine.
Emitting.
Due to what reason it would emit energy? Energy is lost in the excitation. Okay. In a way, it indirectly connects whatever you people are telling here. It indirectly connects. I can explain this negative sign significance like this. You remember this is the nucleus. Okay, these are all the energy levels. Okay, now electron could be there in any energy level. It will have a certain energy. of electron in a particular energy. Now, when you consider a free electron, which is not under the influence of nucleus. An electron which is not under the influence of nucleus is a free electron. A free electron, it is just an assumption, is having zero energy. A free electron is having zero energy. When you start accommodating electron into various energy level, nucleus is positive, electron is negative, and there will be electrostatic force of attraction between the nucleus and the electron. Due to attractive force, energy is always liberated. Okay, so always due to attractive force, okay, energy is liberated, and if there is some repulsive force, energy will be absorbed or energy increases. You can say liberated means decreases. Okay, due to repulsive force between any two particle or atom or anything, due to repulsive force, energy is absorbed or increases. When energy is absorbed, energy overall increases. You can say. Okay. Now, when electron is there in a particular energy level, there will be attractive force between nucleus and the electron. As you go towards the nucleus, tell me, attractive force between electron and the nucleus increases or decreases?
Increases.
Increases. As attractive force keeps increasing, energy keeps liberating, meaning energy of electron keeps decreasing. The energy of electron in third energy level would be so much, let's say some X amount of joules. When it goes to this energy level, attractive force increases, second energy level. So energy decreases. The electron present in second energy level would have less energy than third energy level. Whereas electron present in first energy level will have lowest energy. It would liberate maximum energy out and possesses least energy possible. So this negative sign indicates the energy liberated by the electron being present in a particular energy level in an atom. Is that okay? So I would say one thing. Okay, I'll write down itself, because free electron is having zero energy. Okay, due to attractive force, energy decreases. Therefore, negative sign signifies the energy lost by electron being present in a particular energy level. Being present in a particular energy level. Okay, so that's why negative sign is indicated. Now, when you take this entire equation and remove the constants, minus 13.6 and z square. So, as I had written before, En is proportional to minus 1 by n square. It means, let's say energy of electron, we'll take the ratio now. Energy of electron in first orbit, second orbit, third, fourth would be equal to, this is minus 1 by 1 square is minus 1 in the first orbit. What will be the ratio with which energy varies in the second orbit? It will be minus 1 by 2 square is minus 1 by 4. Next, minus 1 by 9. Third, you keep
Minus 1 by 16.
Minus 1 by 16. That means as you go away from the nucleus, this is the nucleus, first energy level, second energy level, third energy level, fourth energy. Okay. As you move away from the nucleus, the electron in first energy level has -1 unit of charge, let's say. It would have lost. Now, as you go to second, third, fourth, what is happening to negative value? That means energy lost is decreasing. Correct, no? -1/4. That is 0.25. -1/9. Next, -1/16. That means energy lost by the electron is decreasing as you move away from the nucleus. If energy lost by the electron is decreasing, energy remaining with the electron is increasing. So it simply means that as we go away from nucleus, energy of electron, what should I say? Energy of electron increases or decreases?
Loss of energy decreases.
Away from the, as we go away from nucleus, energy of electron increases. So as it comes closer, attractive force will increase, therefore energy decreases. As it goes away from nucleus, energy of the electron increases. So because negative value decreases means positive value increases. That's it. So this is the meaning of the negative sign in the energy expression of hydrogen. Is that okay? So these are all the merits of Bohr's theory. Is that okay? So now we'll take up the demerits.
Can you scroll up?
Okay. Which point?
Sir, the repulsive force.
Come on.
Sir, where is the electron most stable, sir? First level or last?
Obviously, wherever it has lost maximum energy, it would contain less energy in it. As energy decreases, stability increases. So you only tell me in which energy level it would be more stable.
First energy level.
That's all. That's why there is the concept of ground state. Okay. Now in hydrogen atom, there is only one electron. That electron would be present in first energy level because in first energy level it will have least energy and maximum stability. That is the ground state of hydrogen
Sir,
atom. Yeah.
sir, En here means the energy lost, no sir?
Tell me once again.
En, the energy of any electron in N shell is signifies the
How much energy it would have lost being accommodated in a particular energy level.
it's the energy loss. It's not the actual energy it has, no sir. It's the energy.
It is a relative thing. See, now energy of a free electron is 0.
Yes, sir.
So from 0 it would have lost so much energy. So how much ever it loses, that much stability increases. Since it started with 0. Okay, it is randomly fixed at 0 for free electron. If it has some positive value, then you would say remaining is so much. Since the energy of electron itself is 0, being accommodated in a particular energy level, it would have lost so much energy. It is only loss that will be calculated.
Yes,
and
sir.
remaining, how much ever it has lost, that much energy, that much stability increases. So that's how it is.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll proceed to merits of the points theory. Let me know if it is done.
Done, sir.
Oh. So that's all, no? Should I scroll down further?
No, sir. Done, sir.
Oh. Now we'll take up the demerits. Okay. Now, the Bohr's theory can explain spectra of hydrogen and hydrogen-like species. What about the spectra of species containing more than one electron? That is multi-electron systems, we say. So theory doesn't explain. Okay. So spectra of multi-electron system with more than one electron. Can't be explained based on Bohr's theory. Okay, so He plus can be explained, whereas spectra of He atom, lithium atom, can't be explained. That's the meaning. Similarly, this Bohr's theory cannot explain fine spectrum of hydrogen. Okay, so fails to explain fine spectrum of hydrogen. So obviously the question arises, what is fine spectrum? Correct, no? What is fine spectrum? Now generally the spectrum is observed by using spectroscope. Now let's say this is the spectral line of hydrogen spectrum. One second. This is the spectral line of hydrogen spectrum. Okay. When you observe the spectral line of hydrogen spectrum through a high resolving spectroscope, okay, high resolving spectroscope. High resolving means which can separate or which can see very close by lines separately. Okay, even the spectral lines are very closely spaced. Those closely spaced lines also can be seen separately by using this high resolving spectroscope. Okay, so each spectral line, when observed using high resolving spectroscope, each line is found to contain many closely spaced lines like this. Okay, this is called, and this is called fine spectrum. So how come this fine spectrum? The theory fails to explain. Okay, later theories.
Sir, can you explain it once again, sir?
See, this is spectral line. In hydrogen spectrum, you get spectrum, right? In hydrogen atom,
yes, sir,
spectrum is obtained. You observe each spectral line of hydrogen by using a high resolving spectroscope. Then each line is found to contain many closely spaced sharp lines. Each line is found to contain many lines in it. That is called fine spectrum.
Yes, sir.
Then if you ask Mr. Bohr, how come each spectral line is made up of many spectral lines in it, then he couldn't explain that. Later it was explained by considering spin of electron, all such phenomena. So at that time he was not able to explain that. That is called fine spectrum. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Next, third. There is something called Zeeman effect. What is Zeeman effect? You know, Zeeman effect is splitting of spectral line in magnetic field. When you pass a spectral line through external magnetic field, each line splits into two lines. This is spectral line of hydrogen. You pass it through some magnetic field. This is magnet, north and south. And now each spectral line splits into two lines. Okay. This is called the Zeeman effect. So splitting of spectral line in magnetic field is called Zeeman effect. And the theory fails to explain this. Okay. Okay. Bohr's theory fails to account for this. Explain this. Okay, right. Similar phenomena is splitting of spectral line in external electric field called Stark effect. That is splitting of spectral line of hydrogen in electric field. When you pass the spectral line through electric field, each spectral line splits into two. The theory fails to explain.
Sir, both of these are one and the same only, no, sir?
Pardon me?
Yes, sir. Both of Zeeman and Stark effect are same only, no, sir?
No, this is in electric field.
Sir, in electric field, magnetic field will be generated, no, sir? Then both can be considered as same.
No, despite it is pure magnetic field. In presence of only a magnet, that is electric field resulting in a magnetic field. It may be a combined effect, but still at that time, spectral line is found splitting in electric field, and spectral line is found splitting in magnetic field, which was not accounted. Reason could be whatever, but it was found experimentally. So there is spectral line which is going to split in either electric field or magnetic field. It was called by the respective scientists as Zeeman effect and Stark effect, which was not accounted. Okay, so last postulate is, see, the theory, that is Bohr's theory, is against to the modern concepts. Modern concepts such as, there are two modern concepts which we are going to study in the next class. The Bohr theory is completely against modern concept, that is de Broglie's matter wave concept, and there is something called Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Heisenberg uncertainty principle. So these two concepts are modern concepts about the atom. The Bohr theory is completely conceptually against to this. So what are these de Broglie matter wave Heisenberg uncertainty principle that we are going to study in the next class and see how exactly Bohr's theory is against to this. So it's 9:16. We'll stop at this stage. Okay. So till then, take care. Probably Thursday, I would take one special class for you. We will announce it in the group. Is that okay? So probably not only me, even other teachers also probably would take. We'll give the details of it. But anyhow, tomorrow, that is Thursday, I'm going to have a special class for you. Is that okay? So we'll meet in the next class. Thank you.
Sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, I'm going to end the meeting.